back to the United stand as Garnacho hints at a PSG exit. Would that be the right place for him to go? And does that mean that Manchester United could get a significant fee for Alejandro Garnacho? Also, an Mbeumo below. How is that going to work out? The AFCON is going to be on where the Premier League is going to be on. And how is that going to work out when we have players that are going to be playing in the AFCON, and what fixtures do they miss? We're going to discuss that as well. We also have some news surrounding Xavi Simons being linked to Manchester United. That story will just not go away. But how substantial actually is that if we are going to sign Cunha and Mbeumo? And we also have an update on a Bayindir exit, an update on a surprise left-back signing, Manchester United in the market for a left wing-back, despite having Dorgu, Armas and Diego Leon coming in. And as well, a very strange story around Mason Mount. I'll bring that in and I'm going to put a pin in it. I don't think there's any truth to it, but it's news and we are a news show and we will discuss it and have your opinions in, of course, because your opinions are the most important opinions this community. So get your super chats in, get your comments in, let me know your thoughts and feelings and get your comments in down below. The fixtures this morning, by the way, everyone, I did a little reaction video that is up on our socials, but first 5 fixtures, tough, very tough for Ruben Amorim. I've got my positive mindset on. Let's go into the season fresh. We've got Mbeumo, we've got Cunha. Hopefully have a striker playing for us. Let's get our signings done and let's start off as we mean to go on. You know, get these teams while they're weak, while they're not settled yet. I'm on a positive train with that one. But let's get into the first little bit of news, and it is Alejandro Garnacho. Has he hinted at a possible PSG exit? Well, we know Alejandro Garnacho likes to hint through his social media. As we know, the day before the Europa League final, he posted a little collage of finals and games that he has scored or created big moments for Manchester United, because the player had been told he's not going to start the Europa League final. So next thing you know, him scoring in the Community Shield, him scoring in the FA Cup final is up on his social media. He has used social media before to hint at stuff regarding his future and regarding his situation at Manchester United. Well, I noticed before that he'd put on his story, he'd uploaded from the official Champions League Instagram, and it was Champions League as the caption, and it was Neymar playing for PSG as the image, and he'd uploaded that to his story. Well, there's a lot of rumours around Alejandro Garnacho and his possible Manchester United exit at the moment. He will be leaving Manchester United, but what club will it be to? And no one can seem to put the finger on it. Napoli are going full steam ahead on Jadon Sancho, it looks right now, and Jadon Sancho apparently willing to take a pay cut to go there, really interested in the Napoli move. They're also looking at Jack Grealish, and that interest around Garnacho seems to have cooled down quite a lot. Chelsea, who were another big one in for Alejandro Garnacho, going full steam ahead on Jamie Gittens from Dortmund. Are they really going to sign him and Garnacho for the same position? I don't think so. There was reports saying his priority was to stay in the Premier League, but we know Alejandro Garnacho thinks a lot of himself. We know that. He believes his own hype. He believes in his ability as a football player. He will be wanting to play Champions League football. There is no doubts about that. PSG currently are the best team in the world. Won the Champions League. It would not surprise me if Alejandro Garnacho would like a move to PSG. I mean, of course he'd like a PSG, but I actually think he probably believes in himself that he's capable of a move to PSG and playing at PSG. When you look at the young players they have, they look at the fluid forward line they have, he's probably eyeing up that and thinking, do you know what, I would love a move like that. So it's something to keep an eye on. I don't see why PSG would do it, I'm going to be honest. I see this more as Garnacho being like, I would love to go and play for PSG. I'll go and play over there in the Champions League, you know, the best team in the world, rather than PSG being like, we need to go and get Alejandro Garnacho. Because as much as I do think Alejandro Garnacho has potential, and I actually think he's probably been overrated by the Manchester United fan base, look at the forward players they have. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Barcola, Doué. Why on earth would they need Alejandro Garnacho? I personally don't see it. I also think his game would have to change massively. PSG are a very disciplined team. Enrique's done a huge job creating a disciplined team that works together, that will defend together as well as move forward together, cover every blade of grass, are a great pressing side. Alejandro Garnacho would need to change his game a lot to fit into that system. And I just, honestly, not to be harsh, not to be brutal, I just don't think he's good enough. Where I see Alejandro Garnacho, because I do think Manchester United will be able to move him on. I don't think he falls into the category of a Rashford and Sancho and Anthony even, where you're kind of looking around thinking what club are going to actually take these players. His wage is relatively okay to be able to create interest among clubs. He's got great potential. He's still only 20 years old. I do think we will be able to move him away. I just think Garnacho has maybe higher hopes for where his future lies than what he'll actually be able to go and get. He obviously sees himself as a Champions League player. I see him as playing for maybe a high mid-table Premier League side. That's where I see him playing. I mean, there was reports of Aston Villa being interested in him. I think that'd be a great move for him. I know they were in the Champions League last season and they're kind of in and out of the Champions League, they're touching on them places. But even playing for Aston Villa, I don't think he starts every single game. I think he's got a long way to go to be at the place where he thinks he is at now. And is it because Manchester United fans give him the Ronaldo song? Is it because, you know, he was constantly praised and put on a pedestal by this fan base? I mean, you can't blame the Manchester United fan base for praising and loving their own players, especially an academy graduate. But I do think he thinks maybe he's capable of a better team than what he is right now. But let's see who does come in for him, because I don't know if the teams that he expects to go to are going to be there for him, and I don't think PSG will be in either. I think they'll focus on going for a striker, but I did think it was random for him to post that on his Instagram story, because what would the motive, like, you've got to think about it, there's always a reason you are posting something on your social media and on your story. There's got to be a motive behind it. It's like, you see it all the time on Instagram, you know, them people that you follow, and next thing you know, they're out of a relationship, no pictures anymore of the girlfriend or the boyfriend. You know, they're posting different relationship quotes on the story every day. There's more selfies coming out, putting themselves back out on the market. There's always a motive behind a post. Or sometimes, you know, say if maybe a couple's had an argument and then next thing you know, they're posting something very, very, very specific, like a quote to do with, you know, being a better boyfriend or being a better girlfriend. There's always a reason why people are posting stuff on their Instagram and on their social media. And I just kind of want to get it up now just to have another look at it. And yeah, it's the Champions League. And it's just Neymar at PSG in the Champions League. I found it a bit odd, like, why of all things are you posting that? So maybe he's hinting at that, but I just don't see where PSG go with it. Sean says, speaking from experience, Beth, we've all done it. We've all been there. Come on. We've all posted something on our socials and thought, I really hope that person sees it. You're checking every 20 minutes, looking through the viewers. Have they looked at it yet? Have they seen my story? We've all done it. Come on, you're lying if you've not. UKS Stu says, can we get a happy birthday to Callum B? He watches the United stand every day. Callum thinks we need Bernardo Silva. Callum, happy birthday to you. Thank you for being a loyal watcher of the United stand. We appreciate you here in our community. Think we need Bernardo Silva though? I think not. Happy birthday to you, but no to Bernardo Silva. Great player, but I'm sorry, dirty player, and has pulled some stunts against Manchester United before that I've not liked. To be honest with you, always goes under the radar. Proper dirty player, Bernardo Silva. Anyway, I want to bring in this news because with Garnacho's exit, which is looming, where do you think he'll end up? If you can guess where Garnacho goes in the comments, let's see who can guess it. Get your comments in. It looks like Cunha. Well, we know Cunha's coming. We know that he's officially signed for Manchester United. Looks like Mbeumo's nearly done. So this is why I struggle to get my head round why we are still being linked to Xavi Simons. Fantastic talent, fantastic player. I do think has been a little bit overrated, I'm going to be honest with you. Has had some great games for the national team, but also has had some iffy moments as well. And, you know, he's done well out in Germany. He is a good player, a good talent. And I do think he'll move to a good club, but I still think he's got a long way to go. I think he has been a little bit overrated too quickly. Dutch player, he is now being linked to us once again. We've been linked to him over and over and over again. So it's coming from Sport Build and Sport Witness that Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle United and Manchester United and Arsenal are all players in the battle to sign Xavi Simons. And I'm not gonna spend too long talking about this. I'm gonna bring it in again because it's a new show. But this is what I'll say on Xavi Simons. I really think whatever team ends up getting Xavi Simons has got a really good young player on the hands that needs development, but it's not going to be Manchester United. There is absolutely no way that Manchester United get Xavi Simons after signing Cunha and signing Mbeumo as well. And we know they're our top targets. If suddenly Brentford just do a complete U-turn and are like, we're not signing Mbeumo, and Mbeumo decides to wake up and think, actually, I don't want to go to Man United, I'm not going there, and we don't end up doing that deal, which isn't going to happen, and Mbeumo's going to sign for United. But even if that happened, then yeah, he's probably on our list. We know he's on our list, Eze's on our list. There's been talks about Semenyo before, but they've been shut down. We're going to have options there. We scout multiple players. But if we sign Mbeumo as well as who we've already signed in Cunha, absolutely zero chance on this earth that we're also getting Xavi Simons. We'll be getting a striker, but he's for the number 10 spots, and we've already signed 2 number 10s. It's not going to happen. What I think is happening here, and you've got to, like we always say on these shows, look at different sides of a transfer, is his agent pushing Manchester United with his name to generate more interest. You know, is the club looking to get a bidding war going on for Xavi Simons, wanting Tottenham and Newcastle to get involved, and Arsenal trying to, increase the money that they're going to get for him by using Manchester United's name? And that has happened multiple times across multiple transfer windows. And I think that's what's going to happen because we've been linked to Xavi Simons from when Ten Hag was here. It's easy for clubs and agents to just link us to him again. But there's no way we're going to go for him. You can, all you need to do is kind of use your brain to understand that we're not going to go for him after Cunha and Mbeumo. So I won't get your hopes up if you are a Xavi Simons fan on that one. I think he'd be a really good fit for Spurs. I'm going to be honest with you. I really do. I don't see where he plays at Newcastle in their starting 11. I think Arsenal again would be a good fit, versatile player, but I really do think at Tottenham he'd be a good player for them. So it'll be interesting to see where he does go. I'd like to see him play in the Premier League. Eric Bacon says, Beth, yesterday on FootMob app, I saw a story that we bid €150 million for Rafinha at Barca. That has to be a load of rubbish, right? I have not seen that anywhere, and there's absolutely no chance that United are bidding €150 million for Rafinha. And also Rafinha's not coming to Manchester United. I remember, and it was a little bit controversial at the time because he played for Leeds, but we were going all in for Sancho. And don't get me wrong, I was absolutely buzzing about Sancho at the time. But I remember having a conversation with my dad, and my dad said to me, United shouldn't be going for Sancho. As good as he is, they should be going for Rafinha from Leeds. Premier League proven, super talent. Next thing you know, Barca's getting him. And I know he had a difficult initiation period at Barca, but he's absolutely flying now. Top player. There was conversations for him, Ballon d'Or conversations earlier on this season, but there's no way on this earth United are going in for him. We don't have 150 million to spend, never mind on one player. 100. What did Nicholas Dominguez says? €150, not million. Let me have a look at that. Nah, it's got to be 100. It's not 150. It's not 150 euros, is it? Like, there's absolutely no chance. So I'm just kind of putting two and two together on that. But anyway, there's absolutely no chance it's happening anyway. Absolutely not. It's not going to happen whether it's 150 euros or 150 million euros. There's no chance that he would be coming to Manchester United or that we are going to bid for him. It's just not going to happen. There's been no links at all. But let's move on to something that is worth talking about, and that is the Mbeumo blow in the title. I mean, I know a lot of you guys would have seen this and thought, what's going to happen? Are we not getting Mbeumo? What is the blow with this transfer? And it's not a blow in terms of the deal's off. He is still on his way to becoming a Manchester United player. And by the way, isn't this just been the longest negotiation? It's probably not. It's probably nothing compared to deals we've negotiated on before. I mean, we love a long transfer saga, but wow. This one feels like it's taken a while. And the reason why I'm so on edge about it, and I'm fearful is because I know that there is other clubs just waiting to pounce on the Mbeumo deal. We have to get this done. I mean, the fact that we're even able to pull this off after our finish last season and not having any Champions League football, even European football, is a miracle in itself. So I just want to get this done ASAP. But the blow is the fixtures came out this morning, and it's been put out there now what games the players that are playing in AFCON will miss. So we have a few players playing in AFCON. We have Mazraoui, we have Onana, and if Mbeumo signs for us, Mbeumo will be playing for Cameroon as well and will be playing in the AFCON. So these are the games that reportedly the players playing at AFCON will miss. And obviously you've got to think about how many games they will play for their country, how far are they going to get in the competition. But the games are as followed. Oh, you guys in the chat as well. Ahmad will also be playing for AFCON. I forgot about him. He was on my list, but I just kind of missed him off there. Sorry, Ahmad. Mazraoui, Onana, and Mbeumo, and Ahmad. So, I mean, I was going to say 4 really important players. Some people will debate if Onana is important, but it looks like, as of now, he's going to be our first choice goalkeeper going into next season. So you're going to be missing your first choice goalkeeper, our best defender of last season, Mazraoui, or one of the best players of the season last season in Mazraoui, and Mbeumo, who is going to be really important for us and going to be one of our star signings, and Ahmad, who is our best attacker last year. So they are 4 big misses with Ahmad. P says, and Osimhen if we sign him. I don't think Osimhen's going to be on the agenda, to be honest, as much as I'd love it, but it's a good point. If somehow we did manage to pull off an Osimhen signing, he would be another one that would be missing for AFCON. So these are the games anyway. Aston Villa away, Newcastle United at home, Wolves at home, Leeds United away, Burnley away, and Manchester City at home. So obviously it depends how far the countries get in the AFCON, but you have the potential to miss Aston Villa, Newcastle at home, Aston Villa's away, Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds United away, Burnley away, and Manchester City at home. 6 games. And, you know, some fixtures that stand out for me there. Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, Leeds United away, you know, Elland Road. That's going to be massive. Manchester City at home, the derby. So they are huge, huge games that some of our most important players could be missing. And I put out a tweet about this earlier because I don't blame the competition for this. I don't blame our players for this. It is an absolute honour to represent your country. Of course it is. But I put this tweet out earlier and I said AFCON is a huge tournament that deserves proper recognition. There needs to be a better fixture organisation to ensure it gets its own space in the footballing calendar. It's unfair that African players are forced to miss a significant part of their club season in order to represent their countries, and AFCON deserves its own spotlight. And I've said this multiple times. I enjoy watching AFCON. I think it's a brilliant competition, and of course, these players are going to want to represent their country and should be representing their country. But it's so frustrating that it clashes with their club competitions because they have to miss it, and they shouldn't have to miss it. And I was speaking to one of my friends about this, and they were talking about how because of the weather conditions in Africa in the summer, it can make it difficult to play it there. But even, I don't know how it would work. Could you put, you know, the leagues on pause for a few weeks? Could you do that to focus on AFCON? And could you have a break in the season? Could you play the season a little bit longer? I don't know. I don't know how you would do it. I've not thought fully into it. But I'd love there to just be a period where you can solely focus on AFCON as a competition and it doesn't have to clash with the club competitions, because I don't think it's fair on the African players and the clubs that employ the African players, because we're going to be without some of our most important players, and it does just depend how many of them that you have. Like, how many players do you have that are going to be playing on AFCON? And how many players do Manchester City have? Do Liverpool have? Like, it can weaken your side for a really huge part of the season and a huge portion of games. So it'll be interesting, and that's the only thing about signing Mbeumo. And it would never put me off signing a player, because I want Mbeumo, he's absolute quality, and I want him over the course of the season, and there's going to be loads more games where he's going to be able to make a massive impact. But it is a huge miss for them players to be missing them games if they do get all the way with their country. I mean, remember last time AFCON was on, Onana, I think he was so scared of losing his place to Bayindir, he flew back from AFCON just to play in the Spurs game. Of course, that was a brilliant commitment to Manchester United, but I think the rumour was at the time he was just so scared he was going to lose his place because he wasn't playing very well at the time. There was a lot of pressure on him, and Bayindir, was sort of creeping into people's minds of whether he could take his spot. So there's that as well with Onana. If he's in a situation where we bring in a second choice goalkeeper to compete with him over the course of next season, which I think is going to be the case because it looks like Onana's staying, when it gets to AFCON, is he going to want to, is he going to want to fly back from these games to come and compete? How is that going to affect him mentally? Is it going to fatigue him? I mean, is Ruben Amorim going to allow that the same way that Erik ten Hag did? Will the second choice keeper, will that be a period of time where he could go and clench that number one spot? He has a few games while Onana's away playing for his country. He does really well, and Amorim's got a decision to make then. It could be the transitional period. Similar to that time under Oli when I think David De Gea went to Spain because his wife was giving birth to his child, and I think at the time Oli was spend time with your wife and it was all in goodwill, but then Henderson came in, played really well, and I think Oli then decided to go with Henderson for a few games, I'm pretty sure, at that time. So these things can affect the pecking order, but it's a really good point from whoever brought that up in the chat. If we do go and get Osimhen, that is another player that obviously nothing they can do about it. I encourage them to go and play for their countries, of course I do. But that's another player that would be really, really important for us that we'd have to miss for quite a few games. So it'll be interesting to see how Manchester United handle that. And it's another reason why squad rotation for us and having a strong squad is going to be super important. Because if you do have Mbeumo and Amad going off to AFCON, that's your right-hand side, wiped out. Because you have a feeling that they're going to rotate from right wing back and right sided 10. They're both away at AFCON. Who's going to play there? Well, we have Dallo, who can play there right now at right wing back. And then you also have multiple other players who can play in the 10. You have Kobbie Mainoo, who can play there. You have Xerxes, who can play there. You have Mason Mount, who can play there. We know Bruno Fernandes can play there. And then you've got Kobbie Mainoo, Collier, Ugarte, Casemiro, who can play in the pivot. So we can get by, but this is why we strengthen our team. This is why we need strength in depth. And this is why I'll come towards the end of the show. I don't think Manchester United are going to be selling Mason Mount, despite a report that has come out there. Mars has put a super chat in, thank you very much. Glenn C says, it won't affect us, but this will be the first year it will clash with European games too, so that'll force a change in the future. It will affect us. There's quite a few Premier League games that we'll have to play in that period of time. I know games can change and fixtures can change. It's just kind of a brief guideline so far, but it will definitely affect us. Jacob Thorpe says, I feel like we're going to regret not selling Bruno. Apart from Garnacho, I don't think we're going to sell anyone else we can profit from. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That is probably good to bring up in another show as well. I don't see where Manchester United are making money this summer. I just can't see how much money how we're gonna make money off Sancho. I know Napoli are interested, but with his wage in that situation, I can just see a loan being offered and us not being able to get to a point where we're getting a significant fee for him. Rashford is another one with his wage. It's going to be super hard. Anthony, at the moment, it only really feels like Real Betis are coming to the party with a makeshift offer that is nowhere near the money we would want. It's going to be difficult, I think. And even Garnacho, don't get me wrong, I do think we'll sell him and I do think we will get decent money for him. But I think people are in dreamland if they think we're getting 60, 70 million for him. I think we'll get 50 max. We've just not been good at selling players and being able to move them on. And it's an area where we're massively going to have to improve because, if we want to get the players in that we want to improve this team, you've got to be able to sell. And it's been a stumbling block for us in the past. It is because we have given players massive contracts, which we've stopped doing under Ineos, and Ineos are having to pay the price of what the previous regime have done, the Woodwards of the world. but it's still something we've got to deal with, and it's still massively frustrating, I'm going to be honest. But let's move on to my next topic that I wanted to bring in. And where has it gone? Let me get it up here. So we have, speaking of surprise transfers, let me just get this up quickly. I've lost it here. Speaking of surprise transfers, this is a big one that I wanted to bring into the show. So there's been murmurs, there's been whispers, there's been rumours that Manchester United want to go back into the market for a left wing back. We had Ben Jacobs on the show, I think it was around 2 weeks ago now. He broke this exclusive news on the United Stand, and that was that Manchester United had made contact with Pervis Estupinan and Brighton because they really liked the left back from Brighton, Estupinan, and they were exploring a possible move for him. And now this shocked a lot of people because they thought, we've just brought Dorgu in, we've got Armas there, we've got Diego Leon coming in. But I've said this over and over again. Dorgu, learner driver. Armas, learner driver. Who else? Diego Leon, massive learner driver, hasn't even got his provisional licence yet. He's coming in the summer as a very, very young player, 17 years old. So we've got talent there, we've got prospects. Dorgu, remember, is only 20, but we haven't got that senior left wing back. And wing backs are so important to this Amorim system. I think on the right side, with Dallo and Ahmad, and possibly even Mbeumo, you're pretty covered. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved to get a Quenda or a Frimpong in, but it's not ended up happening. But I think we're pretty covered on that side. On the left-hand side, Dorgu, I like the look of him. He's got good attributes, but he's not at the level that I would want yet. Armas probably needs a loan, got potential. And then Diego Leon, I've not seen yet, so I can't really judge him, but very, very young. I do agree that we probably could do with a senior left wing-back, considering how important they are to Amorim's system. Ben Jacobs said that Amorim really wants someone athletic, able to get up and down that flank, got physical capabilities, great at reading the game, great at anticipating the movements on the pitch. And Manchester United have extensively scouted Estupinan from Brighton and see him right at the top of that list. I love this for Manchester United, and Ben Jacobs broke that on the United Stand, but recent news is coming out, and this is coming out from the Football Insider, and I wanted to bring it into the show because it aligns with what Ben Jacobs told us, and it is that Estupinan wants to join Manchester United, and that is coming from the Football Insider. So with that, alongside Ben Jacobs telling us about Manchester United's interest in him a couple of weeks ago, I think there's a real chance that this could be something that Manchester United go for. Now, I don't think we're going to go for him tomorrow. I don't think we're going to go for him next week. I think what Manchester United's plan is, we need to get a striker in. We need to sell. We need to sell Garnacho. We need to sell Sancho. We need to sell Rashford. We need to sell Anthony. And then if we've sorted our outgoings out, the majority of them, we've got our attacking players in, then we might look in the market and go and try for Estupinan. And I think it would be a great move for Manchester United. I really do. I think he would help Dorgu out a lot. I think it takes a lot of pressure off Dorgu's back. He's 27 years old, the perfect age for an experienced player to come in, knows the Premier League inside and out, and arguably before his injury, I think, obviously not last season, but the season before, team of the season left back. Really good player, and I think would do really well at left wing back as well. So I would love to go for Estupinan. I really can't stress that enough. Injuries maybe slightly concern me, but obviously we'd have to do our research into that. I think he had one major injury, didn't he, that kept him out for a while, but I don't know if he's injury prone. Let me actually just get it up, actually. I might as well look at it while I'm live on air. Let me get it up. Injuries. Get your comments in. Would you want Estupinan for Manchester United? But it's like, I've said this before, Dorgu got thrown into the lion's den midway through a season into a terrible team, played every single game, and didn't really have chance to adapt and develop, just got completely thrown in. Difference is with Lenny Yoro, who is a young talent, he had time. Amorim gradually integrated him into the team, was bringing him off the bench in important games, able to sub him off, often would sub centre-backs, and he didn't initially start a lot of games for Amorim, but he grew into that role, and his growth and his improvement from his first few cameos to when he was playing in the Europa League final was absolutely massive. It's because he wasn't pressurised to start every single game for Manchester United when he first came in. Dorgu, on the other hand, just got thrown in and had to play. It's like Yoro, his first game at Manchester United, having to play 90 minutes every single time. He probably wouldn't have the same perception as we have now. He had time to be nurtured, to grow. He had De Ligt, he had Maguire, Martinez before he got injured, Mazraoui, experienced players around him to help him. Dorgu's not had that really, because Luke Shaw, we know, can't stay fit. I'm looking here at Estupinan's injury record. So we had that ankle injury that kept him out for 140 games. That was a terrible one for him. He had a muscle injury in 24-25 that kept him out for 30 days. Muscle injury in 23-24, 78 days. So to be fair, I'm looking a lot of muscle injuries. From 2020 to 2025, he had 7 muscle injuries and an ankle injury as well. And the lowest he was out for was 4 days on one in 2021, but the rest of them are 30 days, 78 days, 49 days, 40 days, 28 days out. And that's maybe something I'm going to be honest, I'd love Estupinan, but now I'm looking at that, I didn't realise he was injured that often. I knew I'd seen him go out with injury before, but I think I'd have to pass actually on that. Now, see, this is why it's good to look things up while I'm live on air, because I was saying how much I'd love him. Now I've seen that, I'm like, no, we can't have any more injury-prone left-sided players. Luke Shaw is just a walking injury. Martinez on the left side, constant injuries. Yoro's picked up a couple now. Aiden Heaven got a knock. Like, our left side is cursed as it is. Dorgu's the only one keeping the fitness alive on that side. So I don't know. I don't know if he would actually fit in. Well, he would fit in. We should have an injury room at United, and then a separate room, left back injuries, left-sided players injuries, left-footed injuries. That room would be full all day. So yeah, now looking at his injuries, maybe we'd have to pivot, and I think that's something United should look at. Absolutely perfect for us in terms of his capabilities and his strengths and his attributes, but can we find someone who's similar to Estupinan but doesn't have the same injury record that he does? But something to watch, considering Ben Jacobs mentioned it as well. Last but not least on the show that I wanted to bring in, and that is, well, Altay Bayindir has been offered to Turkish Super League side Göztepe, who are sister club of Southampton. The player is said to not be keen on a return to Turkey yet. That's coming from Sport Witness and a Turkish source. Just on that, by the way, can't give Bayindir away. Ten Hag's keeper talent ID needs to be studied. Onana and Bayindir. I mean, the fact that Bayindir can't get in over Onana says a lot, doesn't it? To be honest with you. Yeah, Ten Hag's keeper ID is just, it's probably one of the worst I've seen, genuinely. So we'll see what happens with Bayindir, but I think Manchester United are wanting to move him on, and I think he wants to go and be a first-team keeper somewhere. So let's see how that develops, but considering we've not really had much interest in him yet, it is a bit worrying. And then also we had this in from Mick Brown, former Manchester United chief scout, on Mason Mount. There is a possibility Mason Mount is sold. They put a lot of stock into getting him fit again and getting him back to where he was. He's played a number of games in succession now, but I think Amorim has made the decision that he doesn't think he's good enough. If they feel like they can move him on and there's enough interest, they'd be prepared to do it. United will do the same thing with a few of their fringe players if offers are made. They've got Cunha and probably Mbeumo now coming in to play in these positions he was being used in. So that is a sign of where he ranks in the squad. And I just think that's rubbish. I'm going to be honest. I understand his comments, and I think, they're pretty logical, to be honest. A lot of United fans would probably think that way, but I think it's rubbish. I don't think Amorim wants to get rid of him. Amorim has continually picked him, has put a lot of effort into getting him back fit, speaks glowingly about him, picked him in the biggest game of his United career in the Europa League final, got a lot of stick for it, but still went with it. And then continued to pick him for the Aston Villa game after that, after the stick he got. And Mason Mount actually performed pretty well in that game. Mason Mount has been out of football for a number of years. He finally got back fit. It was cameo after cameo, and he's still not completed back-to-back 90 minutes yet. You know, you've got to get back into the rhythm. To judge Mason Mount just off that, I think is extremely harsh. At first, you thought, you know, what is he offering? But then as he grew into it, he got better and better and better. And I definitely do think there's a player there, and I think Amorim thinks that too. You don't have a team of just 11. Like we said, you know, Mbeumo and Ahmad are going to be going to AFCON. You need a squad. And Mason Mount can't play every game anyway. We know that. That's the reason we're bringing in Cunha and Mbeumo, because Mason Mount could get injured. And even if he doesn't get injured, you have to manage him. He cannot play through brick walls. He's too injury prone. Like, he's made of glass. You've got to protect him. You've got to manage him. So you use him as a super sub. You use him for periods of games. And I think if you can use him like that, Mason Mount can be a really good squad player. The argument is, should a squad player have the number 7? Probably not. But that, again, was a decision that was made by a different recruitment team and a different transfer team. But that's not his fault that he got given the number 7. I think he's worked incredibly hard to get himself back fit. I definitely think there's a talent there. There's a workhorse there, and he's got a great mentality, a great work rate, and he's a good player to have in that squad. So I think Amorim really appreciates him, and I think he wants to keep him. I think he's made that clear, and I think he will be used as a squad player. So I don't believe that they would be looking to sell him at all. Trina says, hey Beth, it's hard to feel optimistic right now. Do you think we get more incomings and outgoings next week? I'd like to think so. I honestly would, because it's been quite stale for a while now, and pre-season's looming. You know, our first pre-season game is on the 19th of July, and that might seem far away now, but you'll look at it. Let me get my calendar up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 weeks. It's 4 weeks till we're getting on the plane, really, to pre-season. So United do need to pull the finger out and get some deals done. And not even just in terms of the incomings. Of course, I want Mbeumo and our striker to be on that pre-season tour. But what you don't want is Rashford, Sancho, Anthony and Garnacho boarding the plane or being at Carrington while that's going on. You want their futures sorted out as well. So we've got a lot to do. Honestly, it's going to be typical. I go on holiday in July for a week, and it's going to be typical that I bet United do everything while I'm away. I bet you. And it's like, United, come on. Let's do something now while I'm here and ready to react and get on the shows with you guys. Jason Hanna says, Beth, 250k for a squad player doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, it's not great, and I think that's a really good point. He shouldn't be on 240 grand a week. That's Mason Mount's wage. But again, you know, it wasn't this transfer team that gave him that contract, and that's something we've got to deal with. It's frustrating, but it's nothing we can change right now. We've got to make the best out of the situation. And as much as his wage is high, if he can start performing and coming up with big moments for us, you know, we can start to justify it a little bit more. Trina, I've done that one. And AOWS says, I was playing manager in FC 25 and tried to buy Gyökeres. He went to Liverpool because United are in this UCL. I cried my eyes out from laughing. Don't say that. Don't manifest things into existence. And Mars says, what is happening with the Bryan Mbeumo transfer? He's coming to Manchester United, we hope. He's on track. What I've heard, this is what I've heard, is that Manchester United and Brentford are negotiating the final details. And it's not as if it's going to be another bid that's going to be rejected. The next bid we put in, it's going to be United and Brentford have come to an agreement. So we're just negotiating the add-ons and the final details of this transfer. We know that United are slow. And Glenn C says Beth meant that players might miss the Champions League games. Yeah, they might do, but you know, they're still going to... That'll affect other teams that might, you know, but that's not going to help us. We're not in the Champions League. We're not competing in that competition. We're competing in the Premier League, and that's where we need to get as many points as possible. But look, everyone, that is all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Any updates, we'll be bringing them to you. And make sure you get over to That's Football, because I'll be joined by the Godfather, Ricky, for Manchester City's watch-along tonight in the Club World Cup. Will we see Cherky? Will we see Aït-Nouri, Aït-Nouri would have been the perfect talking about left wing-backs, would have been the perfect left wing-back signing for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim. Are we going to regret not going there? You know, it's going to be really interesting to see how this Club World Cup plays out. Is it going to affect other Premier League competitors to us. We'll be having general Premier League chit-chat, delving into other Premier League clubs, and I'll be joined with Ricky on That's Football for that watch-along. So stay tuned. Straight after that as well, Mark will be doing the Real Madrid game against Al Hilal. So you've got so much content coming, so make sure you go over there, turn your notifications on for later. And I will see you very shortly, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.